Assalamualaikum. Today I'll be discussing about the different foramina in the base of skull. So in order to understand the foramina, we need to understand different bones that form the base of the skull and different parts of base of the skull. There are two important landmarks that divide the base of skull into three important fossae. The anterior part or anterior margin is formed by the lesser wing of sphenoid bone. This is the sphenoid bone, and the posterior landmark is at the level of petrous part of the temporal bone. These two lines divide the base of skull into the anterior cranial fossa, the middle cranial fossa, and the posterior cranial fossa. Let's focus on the anterior cranial fossa first. This is the anterior cranial fossa, and this is formed by two important bones, the frontal bone, which is colored in blue, and this central part, which is the ethmoid bone. The frontal bone forms most of the floor of the anterior cranial fossa, whereas the ethmoid bone has important contributions in a way that its central part is the crista galli and the lateral cribriform plate, which allows the rootlets of the olfactory nerve to pass through. We'll see in the next page. Then we come on to the middle cranial fossa. This bone is the most important bone that forms the middle cranial fossa. This is the sphenoid bone, this yellow colored bone. This is a complicated bone, and in order to understand this bone, we'll divide this bone into a central part, which is the body of sphenoid, and three pairs of processes that lie laterally. The central part is called the sella turcica, and it is comprised of the anterior clinoid processes. One is over here and the other is on the other side. The anterior groove, which is the tuberculum celli, this groove, which is the pituitary fossa for the pituitary gland, this part called the dorsum celli, and this part which is a projection, and it is called the posterior clinoid process. There is the same process on the other side as well. So this is the tuberculum, this is the sella turcica or body of the sphenoid. In order to understand the three lateral processes or wings of the sphenoid, we need to look at another picture on my laptop. So this is a picture which is showing the sphenoid bone. This is the lesser wing of sphenoid bone, this is the greater wing, and this is the pterygoid process. So we are only concerned with the lesser wing and the greater wing of the sphenoid. So let's go back to the same picture so we can follow these processes. This is the lesser wing of sphenoid, and as I already mentioned that this forms the anterior landmark which divides the anterior cranial fossa from the middle cranial fossa, and this entire wing, this is the greater wing of sphenoid. So there are many foramina present at this level. We'll just go through them in the next page. After understanding the sphenoid bone, another important bone that forms the floor of middle cranial fossa is pink colored bone, which is the temporal bone. This flat thin part is the squamous part, and this thick and complicated part is the petrous part. The petrous part is called so because it's thick and hard. Petrous means rocky. The petrous part also forms the demarcation between the middle cranial fossa and the posterior cranial fossa. Then this purple colored bone, which is the occipital bone, this forms most of the floor of the posterior cranial fossa, and there are also many important foramina in this bone which we'll get through in the next page. So this was an overview of the bones of base of the skull that forms a foundation for us to understand the different foramina. Now let's go around the next page and have a look at the different foramina of the base of skull. So we'll divide the foramina as of the anterior cranial fossa foramina, middle cranial fossa, and posterior cranial fossa. The anterior cranial fossa, this is the anterior cranial fossa. It has one of the most important foramina, that is the foramina for the olfactory nerve. So this foramina is basically present within the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone, and they are for the rootlets of the olfactory nerve, our first cranial nerve. The 2 to 3 other foramina, they are not really important, but just for the completeness we'll add them. This small foramen is called the foramen cecum, which is for the emissary vein to the superior sagittal sinus, and there are two other foramina, which are foramina for the anterior ethmoidal vascularity and the nerve, and the posterior ethmoidal foramen for the posterior ethmoidal neurovascular bundle. But they are not so important. The two most important are the cribriform plate and the foramen cecum. Now let's go around to the middle cranial fossa. The middle cranial fossa is the most important fossa in which we have almost all of the important foramina. So let's start with this most important foramen, that is the optic canal. The optic canal is the only foramen which is present in the lesser wing of the sphenoid. As I already mentioned, this is the lesser wing of sphenoid, and this is the optic canal, which is the only canal or only foramen that is present in the lesser wing of sphenoid. And obviously by the name we can understand that it allows the optic nerve, which is a second cranial nerve, and the ophthalmic artery, which is an artery that supplies the optic nerve. So this is the optic canal. The two other foramina, rather I can say three other foramina in the greater wing of sphenoid are the superior orbital fissure, which basically is a fissure. It's not a foramina. Foramen, it's a fissure which is present between the lesser wing of sphenoid and the greater wing of sphenoid. This fissure allows a lot of structures, which is basically designed to as a passageway for the structures of the orbit, that is the extraocular muscles, the superior ophthalmic vein, and the branches of the ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. So it allows the oculomotor nerve, third cranial nerve, trochlear nerve, the fourth cranial nerve, branches of the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal nerve, that is lacrimal, frontal, and nasociliary branches, the sixth cranial nerve, that is the abducens nerve, and the superior ophthalmic vein. Coming on to the foramina, they are purely located within the greater wing of sphenoid. We have foramen rotundum and the foramen ovale. The foramen rotundum is called so because it is a round foramen, and foramen ovale is called so because it is an oval shaped foramen. Foramen rotundum allows the maxillary nerve, that is the second branch of the trigeminal nerve, and foramen ovale is for the transmission of mandibular branch of the trigeminal nerve, that is the third division of trigeminal nerve. We have then foramen spinosum, which is laterally and posterior to the foramen ovale, which is a very important foramen as it allows a very important artery that goes around to the meninges, which is middle meningeal artery and vein. Now I always used to forget that foramen spinosum also allows the meningeal branch of the mandibular nerve. So I used to remember this by the fact that foramen ovale is for the mandibular nerve and accessory meningeal artery, whereas foramen spinosum is for the meningeal, middle meningeal artery, which is the main artery, and meningeal branch of the mandibular nerve. So this is how you flip it around and you remember that foramen ovale is mainly for the mandibular nerve, and you can add an accessory meningeal artery, and foramen spinosum is mainly for the middle meningeal artery, and then you add on an meningeal branch of mandibular nerve. So this is how I remember this. There is another foramen which is located in between the middle and the posterior cranial fossa, that is the foramen lacerum or the carotid canal. Basically, foramen lacerum is called so because it is a lacerated foramen. It has a very irregular margin, and in dry skull it looks like a very lacerated foramen, but in actual it is enclosed by a fibrocollagenous tissue, and there is a clear-cut canal which is called the carotid canal for the carotid artery, that is internal carotid artery. Along with the internal carotid artery, obviously we have the sympathetic plexus which is surrounding the carotid artery in the carotid sheath. So obviously the carotid artery as well as its nerve plexus will go through this foramen, which is the carotid canal. So they all were present within the middle cranial fossa. So we can see how much foramina, how many foramina are present within the middle cranial fossa. The posterior cranial fossa comprises of just 4 important foramina. I won't go into the details of the rest of them because they are not so important. The most important is the internal acoustic meatus, which lies within the petrous part of the temporal bone, and this is for the 7th nerve, facial nerve, and the 8th nerve, which is the vestibulocochlear nerve. There is also a passage for the labyrinthine artery, which is a very important artery for the inner ear. So it allows the 7th and 8th nerves and the labyrinthine artery. The second most important foramen is the jugular foramen, which is lying between the petrous part of the temporal bone and the occipital bone. This foramen allows a lot of structures. It allows the nerves like the glossopharyngeal nerve, 9th nerve, vagus nerve, which is the 10th nerve, and accessory nerve, which is the 11th nerve. Along with that, it is a foramen that allows the sigmoid sinus. Basically, it is a foramen which is a transition between the sigmoid sinus and the jugular vein, interjugular vein. So it allows the sigmoid sinus, and once the sigmoid sinus goes to the jugular foramen, it becomes internal jugular vein. And also it allows the inferior petrosal sinus and posterior meningeal artery, but it's okay if you don't remember it. If you just remember the 11th, 10th and 9th, 10th and 11th cranial nerves and the sigmoid sinus, it's more than enough. Then we have the hypoglossal canal, which is present in the occipital condyles. This is an occipital condyle, and this foramen is for the hypoglossal nerve. So this is only for the hypoglossal nerve because it's called hypoglossal foramen or the hypoglossal canal. And this huge foramen, which is present at the base of the skull, is the foramen magnum. It is called magnum because it is the largest foramen. So it is obviously a part where your brain becomes your spinal cord, where your medulla oblongata is continuous with the spinal cord, where your meninges surrounding the brain becomes continuous with the meninges surrounding the spinal cord, where vertebral arteries enter the skull. Meningeal branches of vertebral arteries also arise at this level, and spinal roots of accessory nerves. So the spinal root of accessory nerves are at this level. So the foramen magnum is for all of these structures, and this is the largest of foramen. So in a nutshell, the base of the skull is very easy to understand if you divide it into foramina according to the different parts or different fossa of the base of skull, so that you can remember it. So in a nutshell, the most important foramen in the anterior cranial fossa is the cribriform plate for the olfactory nerve. The middle cranial fossa, remember it by the location of the sphenoid bone. There is one foramen for lesser wing of sphenoid, which is the optic canal. There is one foramen between the lesser wing and the greater wing, which is the superior orbital fissure. There are two foramina in the greater wing. There are two or three foramina, I can say, three foramina within the greater wing of sphenoid, that is the rotundum, ovale and spinosum. And then there is a foramen between the greater wing of the sphenoid and the petrous temporal bone, which is the carotid canal. And then finally in the posterior cranial fossa we have four foramina, one in the petrous part of the temporal bone, which is the interacoustic meatus, one between the petrous part of temporal bone and the occipital bone, that is the jugular foramen, and two important foramina within the occipital bone, that is the hypoglossal canal and foramen magnum. So if you remember it this way, it is very easy to retain and very easy to remember. So that's all for today. See you next time. Bye bye.